Hey guys, welcome back to RPO Restorations. Today, we'll be talking about one of my favorite G-bodies. This car was the last iteration of the collaboration between Hurst Performance and Oldsmobile. This car signified a resurgence in performance-oriented vehicles, especially among GM's rear-wheel drive, body-on-frame carbureted models. And this car was remembered for its unique shifter more than its quarter-mile time. I'm talking about the 1983 and 1984 Oldsmobile Hurst Olds. After the 1980 Cutlass 442 production came to an end, Oldsmobile didn't release a performance version of its mid-size Cutlass Supreme or Calais in 1981 or 82, relying instead on the strong sales it was generating as a personal luxury coupe. As taste began to change, however, GM's management decided performance was no longer a dirty word, and divisions began to release sportier models that actually had some substance to them. Given the fact that 1983 would be the 15-year anniversary for their collaboration with Hurst Performance, the choice seemed obvious. Debuting in September 1983, the Hurst Olds featured a unique black over silver two-tone paint scheme. Based on the Cutlass Calais, they came with two mandatory options: air conditioning and reclining seats. Buyers had a choice of three interior colors: dark maple, cloth or vinyl, or light sand gray cloth. Buyers also got red striped Superstock 2 wheels, a non-functioning hood scoop, a rear spoiler, front air dam, and special Hurst badging. In the powertrain department, the cars came equipped with the new for 1983 high-output version of the Oldsmobile 307 cubic inch engine. Known as the LV8, or 9-code engine by the VIN digit, it had several upgrades over the standard version. It featured an ever so slightly longer duration camshaft, which was actually used in some of their larger engines during the 1970s, stiffer valve springs, a larger vibration dampener, richer secondary metering rods, and its Rochester quadrajet carburetor. They also featured a Y-pipe dual exhaust running through a single catalytic converter. Horsepower was rated at 180 with 245 pound-feet of torque. At a time when the standard 307 was producing 140 horsepower, this was a pretty good jump. What made these cars especially unique, though, was the transmission and shifter. The Hurst Olds came equipped with a turbo-hydromatic 200 R4 transmission, upgraded with a different valve body for slightly firmer shift. These were mated to a GM corporate 10-bolt differential with a 3.73 gear ratio and a 7.5-inch ring gear. That brings us to the part of how these transmissions were shifted, and that's exactly what made these cars memorable: the lightning rod shifter. The lightning rod shifter certainly is visually striking and can definitely look intimidating to someone who has never seen one before. In fact, from the factory, they were marked with a special tag warning buyers not to use them without first reading the owner's manual. Let's take a minute to talk about how they work and break things down for the uninitiated. The shifter featured three levers. The one on the left, closest to the driver, functioned like a normal automatic transmission selector, with park, reverse, neutral drive, and overdrive selections. During normal driving, with the selector in overdrive and both of the other levers forward, there was nothing to do. The transmission worked like a normal automatic. If, however, the driver wanted to manually shift gears, he could move the gear selector into the non-overdrive drive position and pull both of the additional levers back. This placed the transmission into first gear. After accelerating, he could push the far right lever forward, forcing a first to second upshift. When it was time to shift into third, pushing the middle lever forward for the shift. If he wanted to go into fourth gear, he would push the lever on the left forward one notch, shifting the transmission into overdrive. Unique, yes. Gimmicky, maybe. The Hurst Olds package added almost $2,000 to the over $10,000 Cutlass Calais coupe. All in all, they made 3,001 examples during the production run, the most of any Hurst Olds until this year. In 1984, Oldsmobile decided to offer a Hurst Olds package a second time, again based on the Cutlass Calais coupe. These cars were essentially carryovers of the 1983 models with a few key cosmetic changes, the first and most noticeable being the change in paint colors. The cars now came with a silver upper over black lower two-tone scheme. On the interior side of things, buyers didn't have an interior color to pick from, as all the cars were offered only in dark maple red interior. Oldsmobile still offered the choice of cloth or vinyl, however, depending on what the buyer wanted. The remaining changes had to do with the refresh of the Calais model. The grille was updated from an egg crate version to one featuring prominent chrome vertical slats. The tail lights also saw an update, losing the prominent vertical stripe running down the middle. Those were replaced with a version that saw a small chrome Oldsmobile emblem in the middle of the light. Powertrains and accessories remained the same. Buyers still got the Oldsmobile 9 code 307 cubic inch V8 mated to the turbo hydromatic 200R4 transmission with a Hurst lightning rod shifter in the console. One thing that was not a carryover on the 84 models was the differential. They now came with a slightly tougher 8.5 inch ring gear in their GM corporate 10-bolt axles while keeping the 3.73 ratio. Limited slip versions were still an option. 1984 production numbers beat 83's with 3,500 units produced. The 1983 and 84 Hurst Olds cars are kind of indicative of their time in the automotive world, and at GM in particular. The malaise era was coming to an end, and manufacturers were again starting to focus on performance. 1983 was also the year Chevrolet reintroduced the Monte Carlo SS, and Buick brought the T-Type package over to its Regal. The 80s would see a multitude of technological improvements that would send horsepower ratings further and further up each model year, including multi- and tune-port fuel injection and computer-controlled ignitions. It's nice that things started off with 4-barrel carburetors mated to 8-cylinder engines in very stylish and rather small mid-size packages. What do you guys think of the 83 and 84 Hurst Olds? I know I was always intrigued by the lightning rod shifter, but I've never had an opportunity to drive one. I did have a chance to purchase one in the early 2000s, and I passed. I know, but I'm still kicking myself to this day. All in all, I think they were a great addition to the G-Body lineup, even though the Hurst Olds partnership was on its way out. Well, whatever you think, let us know in the comments section, and thanks for watching.